Iran's Supreme Court has suspended the execution of 3 anti-government protesters on death row. The stay on the execution comes after an online campaign titled Stop the Execution. In a rare moment of solidarity, Iranians from all walks of life, teachers, doctors, designers, actors, homemakers and bloggers took to social media with one message for the government: to stop the executions. It was due to this online campaign that the lives of these 3 young men were spared. The men on death row were convicted of muharebe, which is a crime of taking up arms to take lives or property and to create fear in the public. Amir Hussain Muradi, Saeed Tamjidi and Mohammad Rajabi were part of a nationwide uprising in November as people took to the streets to protest rising gasoline prices. They have been accused of indulging in vandalism and arson. Rising executions highlight Iran's human rights record. According to Amnesty International, Iran put 251 people to death last year. The figures are more than any other country but China, where thousands were believed to have been executed. But no figures are available due to the death penalty being a state secret in Beijing. Many Iranians have been rattled by a series of executions based on murky charges, from drinking alcohol to political activism to allegedly spying for the CIA. Iran continues to use the death penalty despite dealing with the Middle East's biggest outbreak of COVID-19.
Another spiral of protests in Iran occurred on November 15th, right after the rapid increase in prices for petrol and the imposition of limits on its distribution. Protesters destroyed both public and private property. In response, the authorities shoot the protesters with firearms, even though the UN asked them not to use live ammunition. On November 29th, the human rights organization Amnesty International estimated that at least 161 people were killed during the suppression of protests. However, right now, the number of killed is about hundreds of people, and thousands more, including women and children, sustained various injuries. The protests and repression also spread to regions with a large concentration of minorities. Generally, ethnic minorities are the most vulnerable part of the population in Iran. They more often become subject to the regime's repression, mass shootings, extrajudicial executions, and mass arrests, which are conventional methods applied by Iranian authorities, mainly against Arabs and Baloch. The protests also covered the areas densely populated by Kurds and Azerbaijanis in the north and west north of the country. Our conversations with Kurdish, Azerbaijani, Awazi, and Baloch activists indicated that none of the sides has an accurate number of killed and arrested. The authorities do everything possible to avoid the spread of information. However, according to a documented report, even teenagers aged 12 and 13 were among those who died in the areas densely populated by the minorities. There are also reports from Awaz about the use of machine guns against the protesters. According to the Awazi activists, in Bandari Mashar, in the district densely populated by Arabs, the IRGC forces opened indiscriminate fire with automatic weapons. A part of the protesters hid in the area overgrown with the reeds, and the IRGC shelled this area with machine guns. More than 100 people were killed during this action. According to Amnesty International, minority rights activists arrested include Akbar Mohajiri, Ayub Shiri, Davood Shiri, Babak Hosseini Moghadam, Mohammed Mahmoudi, Shaheen Barzagar, and Yashar Puri, who were all arrested in their places of work in Tabriz, South Azerbaijan. Arab, Baloch, and Kurdish activists were also arrested. The relatives of the detained activists cannot obtain information about their fate and whereabouts. In some instances, they don't even know if they are alive. About 1,500 people were killed during less than 2 weeks of unrest that started on November 15th. The toll, provided to Reuters by 3 Iranian Interior Ministry officials, included at least 17 teenagers and about 400 women, as well as some members of the security forces and police.